So a little birdie told me if you type Chris Sanders into your app store on your cell phone right now, both an iPhone and Android, I might have an app out right now that'll let you know whenever I put out a video. So you might want to go do that, just so you know. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a good day. Chris Sanders in your cell phone. Hey everybody, it's Chris, and this is #KillChris. If you want an update for the numbers of where we are on that, please come here on Friday, where I'll be doing a video which will explain that. But right now, we're going to talk about that anime, because this is also Anime Debate. So this week we're going to review JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which is a very big series. I have watched every single episode of every series except for Diamond is Unbreakable. I've seen the first 5 episodes or so of that. I'm not in love with it. I'll be honest with you guys right away. Just so you know, that's my rating for that. I'm not fully in love with it. I'm not sure if I'm into the art style as much. Like all the other ones that is like, more shaded and more, defined art style. This one's very loose. And I'll just jump into right away the first thought I really had about the show before I get into anything else. And that's that I saw a lot of parallels between this show and Dragon Ball Super. Now, when we all started watching Dragon Ball Super, we were like, oh man, why is this show so weird? Why are they putting so much comedy in it? I like my action, but I like my comedy, but this show just isn't what I know it for. Like, when you watch Dragon Ball Z, you remember it for being mostly an action show. There wasn't a lot of light, funny moments, but the original show, Dragon Ball, had that. But most people don't know that show. Most people don't even know there is a Dragon Ball. They just know DBZ, they know DBGT, and now they know Super. But they don't even know about where it came from, what the roots are. And I would dare say that JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is a show very rooted in what Dragon Ball initially started as, which is mostly a comedy show with a strong story element, with action hugging everything around it. But Dragon Ball Z is just an action show purely, and now they're back in form where they're trying to get back into comedy. It just feels awkward and a little bit weird and off-putting and a little bit too Japanesey for a lot of the casual fans. But as I watched JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, I really do see where they were going with it, but it would make more sense if the entire series had this same tone. And number one complaint I'm going to make about this show before I even get deep into the entire mythos of what JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is I am so annoyed with the noses in Diamond is Unbreakable. Because the fact is that in most anime, the characters have weak noses. We all know that. Look at the noses of most of these anime characters. Weak, non-existent, and weak. That's just the style. I'm like, okay, that's an anime thing. But then you start watching JoJo's, and you're seeing freaking strong noses. I love these noses. Look at that. That is a nose. That is a nose. Someone just draw a line. They're making freaking noses. They're giving you detail here. And in Diamond is Unbreakable, we're back to the era of the weak nose. And I can't stand that. And that's not my only gripe with the show, but we'll get into that a little bit later in this video. Bear with me here, guys. We're going to talk about the entire JoJo's seasons and shows and mythos and all that stuff, and it is a lot to wrap your mind around. I'm going to try to not spoil anything for anyone except some minor things. So let's get into it right away. Bear with me. It is a lot to get into, and if I don't say things correctly, just yell at me in the comments down below. So starting with the plot, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, it is a generational spanning series in which we get a son, then we get a grandson, then we get another grandson, then we get an illegitimate love child, and they're all named Jojo, but with different Joe. So you get Josuke, you got Jotaro, you got Jonathan, you got Joseph, and they're all different characters altogether. They're all very unique in their approach, and they're all unique in their abilities, and that to me is kind of amazing. The plot really is just their entire family line and the adventures they go on. I can just kind of personify each season, if you will, in the best way possible. So let's just say Jonathan's season is all about him fighting Dio, who becomes a vampire through breathing techniques called Hormone. And Hormone is an awesome ability that allows him to just be stronger and faster through breathing properly. And again, this helps him beat up a vampire. Don't ask me how, that's just how it works. Then we have, of course, Joseph, who's a little bit more wacky. He also uses the breathing techniques, but he is just a little bit of a different character in the fact that he's not chivalrous. He's not as kind and nice as Jonathan was. He is brutal, but he is also super silly, and you love him for it. One of my favorite things that he does in the series is when he's fighting someone, he'll kind of get to a moment where he's going to win, where he's like, what your next thing you're going to say next is, and he'll tell them what they're going to say next, and they'll go, what? How'd you know what I was going to say? And it just cracks me up every time. Anyway, Then Joseph gets old, and we get to see him be old, and he kind of loses a lot of what he was when he was definitely younger. One thing I'll note that if you watch this as the dub, you will notice a drastic change in Jojo's voice, or rather Jonathan's. I'm gonna do this a lot because there's a lot of Jojos in this, so you're gonna notice a drastic change in Joseph's voice when he is young to when he is old. He has a very proper British English voice when he is young in the dub, but then later he's gonna get that scratchy, rough voice later when he's an old man. And I just don't know how they're gonna really explain that, because I believe in the subtitle or in the Japanese original series, his voice is pretty consistent throughout, and it just makes sense that he would eventually become this deeper, gruffer voice. But I'll get to that in a moment. So anyway, let's move into, of course, we have old Joseph, who travels with his grandson, who's known as Joestar, who is very stern. He has little to no comedic ability. He's not as funny, he's not as engaging, in my opinion, as Joseph was, but he is ultimately a much bigger badass. He is so awesome, so calculating, so calm, so freaking awesome to watch. This is where we walk into the part of the show where we have stands, which are basically the manifestation of your soul that is normally like humanoid, but sometimes it can be an item, it could be a doll, it could be really anything. And it kind of creates a dynamic where the show goes from an adventure series to a monster of the week series, where they fight a different monster every single week, which I will totally say that I think kind of makes the show drag on a little bit, because you just kind of know what's going to happen next. Like, they're going to fight 2 episodes, they're going to win, they're going to fight 2 episodes, they're going to win. It just kind of has that same formulaic appeal. Whereas I believe the previous series didn't really have that as much. They were kind of just going on a journey. You're going to see what happened from A to B, and it worked in that fashion. Now, the same thing that happened in prior series, where like kind of they get to a moment and the show will go into inverse colors, it's still there. But I don't feel like the appeal is as strong as it was in the original first Jonathan episodes of the series, where like it was very stark and you just kind of knew, okay, they're in this moment now, it's kind of weird and there's a reason for it. In later episodes, it just kind of happened at random moments and didn't really just seem to fit to me. So then after we kind of exit out of Jotaro's age, which is just a lot of battling and a lot of comedy, I think they do a lot of things really well here that a lot of other anime wish they could do as well. We move into the illegitimate love child of Joseph, known as Josuke. And this is the season called Diamond is Unbreakable, and for me it is probably my least favorite season. I've only watched a few episodes of it. I've gotten actually dig a little bit deeper into it than when I first started this review, and I'm actually enjoying it more than when I started, so maybe it was still growing on me. But I just feel like with the loss of the noses and the loss of a lot of the dynamic that was there in the other series, I just kind of feel like I want more from it. But who knows, I'm not anywhere near being done. Let me get into that once I get there, but for right now, this is where I'll leave with the plot of the show. So what makes this show unique? What makes it so awesome? What makes it so different? It's just that the show itself can be very, very brutal with its violence, and then at other times it won't. I had a hard time really understanding what really happened between Jonathan's season and Josuke's season, because they start to censor some of the violence. They start to hide things. I don't really understand what the deal is. Like, they'll like show someone's head getting cut off very clearly in one series, and then the next they just won't even like show it all. They show a cutaway and a splatter of blood, and that in itself makes the show very inconsistent, but also very, very intriguing to watch, because each show has its own unique thing about it. Like, Josuke is more about healing than he is beating. Joseph is more about really just showing strive and winning and not giving up. What Jonathan is about being chivalrous and being a good person right to the very end. And of course, everyone's favorite, I think a lot of people just love the Stardust Crusaders series the most, Jotaro, who is just all about winning and pushing your limits and never giving up. Now, I'll say this other thing too, is that I honestly think that the stand abilities became kind of the crutch of this series. I do think that the hormone abilities were much more interesting and what they could bring about, because I think it was more about like your real fortitude and not just your special ability that you have bestowed upon you magically. But then later, some of that kind of gets explored in the Diamond is Unbreakable series, which I really start to dig as you get deeper into that part of it. So the music here is pretty great. Every single series handles it very well. The atmosphere is beautiful. The animation, in my opinion, is at its worst in the current Diamond is Unbreakable series, but that's just my opinion. I feel like the less detail pulls me out of the story. They do have moments where the detail comes back, so I don't really understand that. But then you have everybody's stands that are kind of just like, basically everybody's like battle robot, like kind of like your Pokemon, but if everyone literally had an incinerator, like that's pretty much what it is. The show is great. The show is so intriguing, and I can't really tell you why I couldn't stop watching it. Literally, I'm going through this thing like, oh my god, there are so many episodes. But the more you get deeper into the story, the less you care. It is literally an amazing series with a lot of great comedic bits, and that's the thing where the show really shines. When it's trying to be funny, it is laugh out loud funny. One of my favorite parts of the show is definitely old Joseph, when he's like, oh my god, he's just the most quotable character because he's speaking English and he's just saying these ridiculous things, and it just works. Now, I have my gripes about people that die in the show. A very, very typical trope for me happened in the show that I'm like, I can't believe you killed him. Of course you kill him. They always kill him. They always do it. And then they kind of play a game with you where they like bring him back and then you kill him again. You're like, dang it, man. Stop it. Stop with these games. Stop it. But nonetheless, the show still has an impact on me that won't be forgotten. So if you're looking for an anime to really pull you in, go ahead and watch JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I highly, highly suggest you watch the sub and not the dub, mostly because I feel like you get a better experience of the voice acting and those moments when like old Joseph is spazzing out. It is totally worth it because I don't think you're going to get the same feeling once the dub is doing that. I just don't think it's not the same. It's really not the same. I mean, you just don't get it. Trust me. There's one moment in the show that really kind of disturbed me when one of the characters gets turned into a baby and he has basically questioned whether or not it's okay that this like super hot woman is rubbing him down, and you're like, oh my god, if I was a baby and had an adult, brain, that's totally what I would do. That is totally, I'd be like, oh my god, I don't know why, but this is amazing! And that is one of the things that makes JoJo a great show, and why I think in times, Dragon Ball Super is kind of borrowing from their formula, because this is the kind of stuff that you kind of get like distracted by on Dragon Ball Super. You're like, okay, why are they being weird? Why are they taking so much time to be weird? Because it's not baked into the DNA of the show. You're thinking that it should be, but it's not, because you want it to be Dragon Ball Z Part 2. And it's not. It's its own show. So the minute you realize that, you're able to really enjoy it for what it is. And I think JoJo has a lot to do with this transition. And that's just my opinion. So let me know down below how you feel about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Have you ever seen it? Will you watch it? And what are your favorite parts of the show? Let's talk about it down below. Let me know what you want to see me review next on another anime debate. And I will be slowly but surely moving these videos over to my anime debate channel. So go subscribe there if you want to see more anime videos. Yo. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. I got more videos coming. I got one left for tomorrow. #KillChris is going hard. I know we have some weird stuff with YouTube having another glitch that he apparently fixed, but I'm still losing subscribers like clockwork. So the mission is at hand, y'all. The mission is at hand. If you want to know more about that, check out the video down below in the description, and I'll see you guys next time here at #KillChris and Anime Debate.